Hello guys and welcome to another round gamer video. Sekhmet, the titan that we were speculating to be coming out as the Mistress of Dread, she's finally here, and here is my event overview and skills breakdown as always. So right to the slide. Sekhmet. So she, in terms of her own skills, got a lot of void damage, got a bunch of range resist, but that's not what you really want this titan for, isn't it? We'll come to the prestige skill in a second. Let's talk about the horde, which is actually not her best trait. So she offers an X skill for the horde, so you get 360% damage, you get X health as well to 34% health. You get critical, but notice there's no AP, but you do get 30% melee and ranged resist. So you might, when you look at this, she's a berserker. Osiris is also a berserker. So when you compare the two, what she's critically missing is the XAP, which you do not get with this Titan. Alright, so that can be quite a factor when you decide whether you want to take hold with this Titan or not. But honestly, that's probably not what you want to do with this Titan, because she is a completely well-built Titan for using Raised Dead skeletons. That spell that you have, which is also Troop, Raised Dead, that's the one this Titan is effective in using. Now the real craziness here, we really don't know where to begin. You get a 536% void damage buff, which doubles on defense. So we're talking 1000 plus percentage, or 1072% to be exact, damage buff for the raised skeletons. Now, uh, now do take this with a pinch of salt, because you got to remember that raised dead skeletons, even level 25 ones, their base damage isn't very high. So even though that's a 1000% increase, which will turn out to be a 10x multiplier, that does not necessarily mean the skeletons are going to be something on the levels of, let's say, 1000% horde or something, right? So but it is going to be a crazy amount of damage, especially on defense. Now notice a lot of the skills are 2x on defense, which makes me think this is a Titan kind of designed with to be sort of a defensive berserker. We haven't seen a lot of those around, so she might be the first. Now you get 352% AP as well, so you get damage and AP. Only thing you're missing though is the critical. Okay, but you can get that from the relics to an extent, as we shall see in a few minutes. You get 50% melee resist on defense and 25% range resist. Now the great thing about having these sort of buffs already inbuilt is there are plenty of relics, unfortunately not all of them featured in this event, that can actually let you build a full elemental resist, full melee resist, and possibly a full range resist, but probably not skeleton build. And we shall have a look at the relics as well. The armor, of course, quite ridiculous, 352% armor, which means with a few relics you can actually hit 400 plus or 450 plus armor, making these skeletons actually be able to take out 70 to 75% of the attacker's damage, because you're not going to really see many attackers in the current meta coming up with such high levels of armor piercing. Okay, so that is very good. You do get health. Now the only concern is, I think for me, I really don't mind the loss of not having critical, but the absence of more health. Skeletons, even with the X health, they are still pretty squishy. Though, with all that little extra armor, the effective health, if you consider that armor contributing to that, along with the melee and range resist, should make them last a lot. To give an example, if all of you have a Tengu or have seen videos of a Tengu being used, Tengu himself normally doesn't feature more than 200k health, but with all that, with the maxed melee resist and with some shield spells, he can last for a very long time and take out some really meaty defenses out there. So Yeah, so not a total loss, but I wish they gave more health for the race set skeletons. Now, in terms of the special skills, that's where this Titan shines, because hey, you might think, well, the special skills didn't exist. She might be just an enhanced version of Anubis, right? Or some other Titan. So what do we get? We've got on specials on allied death. A raised dead skeleton will spawn from where where your allied troop died, right? So if the enemy manages to kill or because of spells one of your, let's say, militia troop dies, from the militia will be born these raised dead skeletons. So you don't get to control where they drop, but they will spawn. So you can get 6 of them, and that's a 100% chance. So that will always happen. So you will get 6 if you lose 6 troops. It's interesting, isn't it? So you have to lose 6 troops to get 6 skeletons. But if you kill enemies, right, you will get at a 75% chance, which is really good. You will get up to 8 raised dead spawns, which is brilliant. So if you just keep this in mind, these two, you can possibly get 14 skeletons without taking any relics, but by just managing to lose 6 troops and managing to kill 8 troops. Now the final, which is an quite amazing skill, which is very similar to what you might see feature on Baba Yaga, but for Horde, but this is for skeletons. You see on every raised skeleton spawns, every time you um, a skeleton spawn. Now, that's interesting that they have used the word spawn there. Now, I wonder if they mean that that's whenever a raised skeleton is born after from an allied death troop or an enemy dead troop, or does it just imply to all anytime a raised spell is in the game, which means anytime it's cast or spawned. Now, not really sure of that, but there you go. But you will get 30% skeleton damage, armor and armor piercing. Now, if you just include just the spawns that are described above, you can get you can get 14 times plus 30. That's 520% extra skeleton damage. Extra 520% armor. Now the armor is all ridiculous. I don't think anything's gonna get through. Perhaps only Lifespark's got some hope, I think, with her crazy AP. And you get a lot of armor piercing. So these skeletons are going to go through any armor that you have. They are going to be really good tanks, right? Although the health pool isn't great, but they're going to be really, really massive tanks. So there you go. And well, and you can only get maximum of 10 of them. So when I said 520, then I probably should come back to that. So you can't get 10, but you can get 300. So you can get to 300% skeleton damage, armor, and AP boost, which is still very, very respectable. Now, coming to the prestige skill, a bit underwhelming because you get a buff to the base horde damage. I'm not going to be personally one which will use if I max this Titan and decided to prestige it up. I wouldn't prestige it up for the horde skills because the real meat and the strength of this Titan is in her skeleton spell. So the other skill really is to pay attention is to every 15 seconds, 7, right? That's the number. 7 weakest skeletons gain 20% of their maximum health. So this is what is a heal spell essentially, right? So every 15 seconds, the 7 of your troops will gain their max health. Now it isn't a shield spell, right? You gotta remember that because shield spells have a splash effect. So even if a shield spell is applied to one troop, if there are troops in the radius, they also get the benefit. But here, it's not the case. It's actually, from what it appears from the description, it's precisely 7 skeletons that are gonna get 20% more health. So if you have, let's say, uh, 20 skeletons on the battlefield, it's only 7 of them that are going to get that effect at every 15 seconds. But if you consider the fact that in a minute there are 4 such instances, and the fact that the battle can that if an attacker is trying to go against you and it takes 4 minutes, you're going to have 4 times 4, 16 instances where this event happens. And if it takes 6 minutes, well, you go on even further. So this is a really good skill, and I think she definitely becomes a Titan, which is prestige worthy, at least in my books, purely for that fact. But this could also mean that we will see other Titans with such sort of healing abilities and not shield splash abilities. So yeah, that's fantastic. Now let's talk about the actual Souls event. So this is a 25,000 Souls event, which is big, which is I think on par with Hachiman's event, which was also pretty epic in terms of its hype slash monumentalness in terms of how many people went for it. So this Titan will start on Thursday, 9th of July. 1.4x is for Osiris and Sekhmet, 1.2 for using any 4-star and 3-star White Titans. Now if you do not have Osiris, then my recommendation would be to go ahead and use Anubis if you have him, because he is an extremely fast raider, or with his golden scales and wide rune combination. Do check out my earlier video where I discuss why these two relics are very important in my approach to events video. Individual milestones reward, really good relics. I'll discuss them in the next sort of sheet, but this event will feature 600 divine gems and 5.1k 5,100 red gems, which is quite more than a lot. So they have reduced a few gems here for that for this particular cost divine gems, but they've added more red gems. So yeah, it's kind of a trade-off whether you value red gems more than divine gems. Could be argued, maybe not, but so there what it is. Now the interesting thing about this event is Sekhmet herself is at 21,000 souls, and the stretch goals do feature all the new relics in this event, which we shall have a look at, which is where you stretch up to 25,000 souls. Now, to be honest, if you're going to go and get yourself a Sekhmet, you probably want those relics. I do value them quite well in terms of alliance rewards, and also you've seen individual rewards at rank 11 at 51,200, and in the event individual rewards at 14,000 souls, you pick up a so-called Egyptian token, which lets you pull these 3 Egyptian titans we've already seen, namely Budget, Asset, and Ra. Personally, from between these 3, I wouldn't go for Ra, because you get Grenadiers and Horde. Although it's not a worst combination, but you do not have any melee resist on the Horde, and nowadays you do need that. So I would go with either Budget, or if you have the 5-star Sword and Shield relic, which is quite good even today on this Titan. Although Horde do get routinely run over by Segunga, so there's that. But if you don't want him for collection, if you had to choose between the 3, I would choose either Jet or Asset. Or so yeah, there you go. That's your options over there. Let's look at the relics. 22,000 souls. You get Sekhmet's Aegis. The good thing about this particular relic is you get Raise Dead resist to all elements, which is 24%. Okay, now you also get 24% raise dead melee resist from the second relic, Ancient Rosetta. Staff of Despair is probably going to be the first relic in the game which features not 3 but 4 raise dead skeleton spells, which is the most you can get from one relic, which is fantastic. Now, if you just go back for a second onto the skills of Sekhmet, notice that what we figured out, or I pointed out, as probably the flaw, is the absence of health on razor skeletons, and not having any critical for the skeletons, right? So what do you want to do if you're trying to build this up for well, for defense you probably want more health, but you could use some critical as well. So we'll try and look at those relics, but of course you also want that all important all elemental resist. So if you take Sekhmet's Aegis, you get 24% resist to all, and if you add in Ancient Rosetta, you get 24% raise dead skeleton melee resist. Now remember, you get 50% resist to melee by default on defense. If you put this in, you already add 74% melee resist, which isn't the max, 80 being the cap, but you're very close to it, and I think that's quite respectable. So let's look for more options. Right, so the next now let's come back to this slide a bit later. Now here's the other options you have for the raised dead skeleton spells. Do note some of these are not in the event, but they have been featured before, so hopefully you have them. If not, you can get them when they do. Wasila's Flame is the other one. You do get some range resist on the horde, which actually is low on this Titan, so you might want to put this relic on. Now the relic that is interesting, and I think a lot of people will feature in these builds, especially to counter Segunga rolling over this Titan, is Blood Vial, and I can see this being a very important contributor to a defensive build of Sekhmet, because you get 64% resist to poison. And remember, if you combine this relic with the Sekhmet's Aegis, you already get 88% resist to poison, so which is great. And you get 32% raised skeleton critical, which is hard to come by because it isn't there for this Titan. So I think Blood Vial an absolute essential in my opinion for this Titan. Okay, if you look for health, you can get some health off of the skeleton ring, and I think this will also feature in a lot of builds because you do want to add as much health as you can. Now there are some few other options, and some of these have been available with the Calvarax 2.0 release and with Baba Yaga. So Babushka's Trinkets is a really good one because you get 24% hold resist to all elements. So if you take this relic and combine it with the Aegis relic, you're going to get 48% hold, 48% skeleton resist to all elements, which is brilliant. And if you combine that with a cursed ring as well, you are looking at 48 plus 24, 72% resist against all elements for Horde. Now that is great, right? So if you use Babushka's Trinkets, Cursed Ring, and what's the other one? Where's the other one? The first one here, Sekhmet's Aegis, you have 72% resist to all elements. And also remember, the great thing about Aegis is that you get critical as well. So, and also, of course, you combine it with Blood Vial, you will be looking at 64% resist. So I think all of these relics are going to be very important in your defensive and possibly even attack builds. This is also another relic which is possibly a good option to have. You get 64% resist to 3 elements, but I don't see this being featured in a lot of builds, a lot of defensive builds, because you are only able to focus on 3 elements, whereas with the other relics you are able to do add some more stats to your skeletons and not just be focused on these 3 elements. But yeah, there you go. Those are your options. There are some skeleton damage relics which might feature on your attack builds. The second relic, Curse Dagger, might be something you want to use to get your skeleton critical to max, so that will be quite fun. All these relics have been available at various points, so hopefully you have this. But I do like the Curse Dagger between the two because of the fact that you get skeleton health, which is low. So Curse Dagger definitely between the two is one that I would rank higher. There are a few more Almaland relics as well from the Almarand event times as well, which you may consider featuring in your builds. The Tainted Heart can get you some more armor, but to be honest, I don't think this will be something you want to use because Sekhmet is already pretty tanked out on armor. But you could consider using Doom Pauldrons because 2 out of the 3 slots are actually useful. You get health and damage, so some more health for your skeleton. So there you go, guys. My recommendations for this particular type of build would be to feature, so between these 2 relics, Doom Pauldrons, between these 2 relics, Curse Dagger. This maybe not. These 2 relics definitely yes. Between the relics featured here, Blood Vial and Skeleton Ring, if you can fit them somehow, and of course Sekhmet's Aegis. Staff of Despair. You know, you're gonna. There's so many skeleton relics now. It's just gonna be a musical relics event to try and musical relics, musical relics game to try and figure out which one to fit in where. But yeah, if you can try and fit some of these in, there's just so many possibilities with this Titan. I really do like it. There's an argument this could be a good. This is a solid defender, so yeah, I can definitely foresee a high soul count. A lot of people going for it. But yeah, guys, that's it for this video. I do hope you like this this content. Oh yeah, before I go away, the other relics in this event which you see on the screen, 2 of them I consider my staple relics for events. Before I kind of end this video, Golden Scales and Void Rune. if you are considering getting them, if you're not going to do this event all the way, do try and get yourself to 8,000 souls at least to get yourself these two fantastic relics, which will make your grinding life very, very easy. Trust me. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I'll see you all in another one. See ya.